Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another very interesting combo to try out with a shell that we just recently started testing. So we're trying to figure out what choke combos and stuff that it really likes, and we might have a pretty good combination on our hands today. I think this could work out pretty nicely if these shells actually mesh well with this choke, like I think they might be able to. But as for the shells I've got today, big thank you to Keith and the guys over at Salt Creek for sending some of these over. They kind of surprised me. I didn't really expect them to send any of these, but I was looking at them to potentially pick some up to try anyway. But they are some of these Salt Creek custom cold turkey blend shells. These ones are their 12 gauge, 3-inch, 2-ounce payload of TSS 10s blended with lead 5s. Pretty interesting combo, a little larger lead pellet with a smaller TSS pellet. Pretty interesting combo for sure, but blend shells can be a little picky sometimes to really get the pattern like you want them to. So typically you got to try them through multiple different choke combos to really find what they like. We know from our previous tests with these that these have some decent potential for sure. We just got to fine tune them a little bit. So we'll see what they give us through today's choke combo, since these are kind of in that in between. They're more expensive than lead, but they're a little cheaper than a full-on TSS shell as well. And pattern wise, they kind of float that middle ground as well. So some people are going to like them, others just aren't, but we'll see what kind of performance they can give us through today's choke. Before our setup today, I brought out my old Mossberg 500. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running this Jebs Head Hunter choke. It's a 665 constriction. On their website, they recommend a Pattern Master Code Black Turkey in 665, which we have tested with these shells already, but this Jebs, being the same constriction, might give us some nice results as well. So we'll see how this combo does. Before today's test, we're running everything the same as usual, that being the turkey target is at 40 yards, and we've got the chrono so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys to view that target, and we'll see what these cold turkey blend 5s and 10s can actually do through the old Mossberg 500 with that Jebs 665. We have some good potential here if the combo works out well with these blend loads, which can be picky. So let's take our shot and see what we're able to get. All right, that shell gave us 1,046 through the chrono. There's no claim specifically on the box, but if I can find one on their website, I'll pop it up here on the screen. Either way, I think we were 1,056 or something like that the last time we tested these. So it seems like mid 1,000 feet per second mark is probably about what they're running, because that is a 28-inch barrel. So they seem pretty consistent for velocity, and that is enough out to 40 yards to do the job for sure. But did they actually pattern well down there through that Mossberg with the Jebs? Let's go check it out and see. All right, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and we definitely see some pretty interesting results here. Right off the bat, yes, we were definitely off to the left, which is not the normal for that Mossberg for sure. I'm usually pretty well right on the money with that gun. And this is a trend that we had seen last time we tested these shells as well. Last time we impacted way high and right through an 870, and this time we're way off to the left with a Mossberg 500. So it seems like these shells are a little bit particular with changing different choke combos and different gun combos and impacting in quite a bit different of a place if you switch something up. So definitely a reason to test these through your exact combo you plan to hunt with if you want to use these shells, because it seems like a pretty good chance that they're going to impact differently than where other shells do from that same combo. Either way, we do have a dead bird at 40 yards. There are a couple of the TSS 10 pellets right down the spine. They're kind of tricky to see, but there's one up towards the top of the neck and one down a little bit towards the bottom third as well. So yes, that is a dead turkey at 40 yards. Although our pattern is definitely over here on the left. If we look at our core, which is kind of right in the middle of the screen, it's definitely not anything super hot overall, as well as the rest of the pattern is definitely more on just the broad side. We did have a pretty decently even spread between the lead and the TSS pellets. I tried to differentiate the size of circles that I drew to let you guys be able to see where the smaller TSS 10 pellets hit versus the larger lead 5s. And there's a pretty decent mix, although we definitely threw a handful of flyers way over here off the right and all the way down towards the bottom as well, so it's definitely not perfect. Now looking at the pattern as a whole here, I think it is a little bit more messy than what we saw with that Pattern Master last time we tested these. And blend shells can be tricky at the best of times. You really got to test them through a bunch of different combos and see what they like. And when you find a combo they like, that's probably going to be the one you want to go with. Now, I didn't expect Longbeard XR lead type of patterns or full on, $80 a box TSS lights out super hot core type patterns with these either. I expected somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the Winchester double X type of territory. And I don't think we're far off from that. It's definitely a more broad spread, but it's still pretty even, at least throughout our core area there. That central 15 to 18 inches is pretty decent. You don't have any major voids going on, but we still need to find the right choke combo to clean up these edges for sure. We're not going to get screaming tight, super hot core looking patterns out of these. I think somewhere pretty much right in the middle is going to be our best bet. If we can just get a nice condensed, say 18-inch spread that's nice and circular and nice and even, that's probably going to be our realistic goal. I think the Pattern Master did perform better with them, although this would still do the job out to 40 yards, especially if we had it centered up a little bit better. And for some people, this is going to be intriguing for them. They might like the idea of a blend between lead and TSS with a price that's, I think, about $38 or $40, something like that, which is in between a lead and TSS shell. And performance wise, they might prefer a little more broad of a pattern if they're shooting their birds at 25 or 30 yards. But if they still want to run TSS, this could be a decent option for those guys. And other people, they're going to much prefer either a full-on lead load like a Longbeard shell or a full-on TSS lights out tight performer. Both opinions are perfectly valid. This shell would absolutely work to 40 yards, but we've still got some work to do on it. So maybe we go to another different choke, maybe an Indian Creek or something. Maybe we go a little tighter for constriction with 660, maybe a little bit less constriction with a 670 or 675, something along that line. But it's a blend shell, and they can be tricky at the best of times. So we got some more testing and tuning to do. This isn't terrible, but it's also nothing over the top special to write home about either. And here's the wad out of that shell. I believe this is one of those ballistic product LBC wads, the low bore contact wads. We know from our testing with these through a bunch of different shells that they are some very good wads. They have a pretty good reputation based on what I've seen from them. This one had two petals open a little bit farther than the other two, but there's no major damage, nothing stuck down in there, and nothing too out of the ordinary. So the wad did fine. I just think we need to find the best choke combo for what these blend shells actually like. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? It's perfectly adequate to 40 yards. It's going to do the job. It's a pretty even spread throughout the middle central core area of it. You've got a decent mix between the lead and TSS pellets, so if you had that centered up, you're going to be hitting the bird with both. So some people might be okay with that pattern. Others are probably going to want a little bit tighter out of it, or at least a little cleaner, especially around the edges for sure. I think we've got a good chance of finding the right choke combo that really dials these in. It's just going to take some more time and some more testing to really try and dial them in a little bit. And we'll definitely probably find out kind of what their limitations might be as we continue to test them. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Salt Creek blend shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a shell or a choke combo or a pattern that you would actually hunt with? Or are you kind of on the fence where you probably would just prefer a lead load or a TSS load? Or maybe that's exactly the kind of shell you're looking for, as you prefer that kind of performance, a little more broad spread while having both pellet types. And maybe what other choke combos do you want to see us run those shells through that you think might be a good performer with them? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.